Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to the Nimbus Tattoo Podcast. Sorry, it's been a while. We are missing Josh and Michael tonight, our regulars, but we do have our friend RJ here.
I don't know what camera I'm supposed to look at.
This one right here.
That one?
Yeah.
Hi.
RJ's like a regular, he's become like a regular client at the shop and sort of become a friend in the process of doing
Sorta.
that. He's all right.
Just a little bit.
But yeah, we wanted to have him out here and just talk a little bit about some stuff. And we're gonna go around and do everybody's Instagram. As always, I am Mitchell. My ad is Tattoo Breakfast, which is still the worst name.
I disagree.
I think it's
and
great.
your
Hard
parents
disagree.
disagree too.
I know. My mom made me a T-shirt with like a whole bunch of it was.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
that's
really
sweet.
sweet, dude. It was
I
great.
want that.
Yeah, I'll have to show. I haven't shown it to you guys.
No.
Yet. So let's go to RJ next. What's your at?
Hi, my name's RJ Holiday, Doc Holiday 92 on Instagram. I am not a tattoo artist. just to make that very
But
apparent.
You are.
I am what?
Well, your claim to fame.
Oh, yes. I was at one point the heavyweight Mr. Ohio for bodybuilding.
Hey.
Everybody likes. Thank you. I trained very hard for that. Got very shaved and naked on stage.
All right. And next, we're gonna hit our favorite Ashley.
Oh.
Sorry.
There we go. All right,
That's
Ashley,
me.
what's your at?
I guess it's like, Ashley Brooks 666.
Oh my Easy peasy.
Sorry, Mitch's parents.
Well, she's gonna have an actual PMU
I
one
thought
soon.
you got a new one.
She
But
does
yeah,
have
I do
one.
have a new one. I haven't actually started that page yet, so I haven't posted anything on it. So I mean, I feel like it's essentially. I don't like that.
Well,
I feel like there's no point right now.
that's fair.
Yeah.
The old one's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one's
You got to
fine.
ramp it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to start promoting it.
Yeah, exactly.
go.
I have like a bunch of. I've done. I'm gonna count my fingers. 1. I don't know, like 5 clients.
But it's
now.
all set up right now, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The
The
Instagram
page?
account for you? Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing.
Then say it.
No.
Yes. Yeah, that's the whole point. If
It's
you're
literally-
already
it's-
doing them.
She
No.
wants to wait till there's actually things to post on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because right now
that's
there's
what I
nothing
was-
on it.
Yeah. I have like so I guess my whole plan with that is I wanted to have pictures from when I do the procedure and then like healing photos and then like I have to do an initial touch-up appointment, so then I want photos from that as well.
Get the
and
whole
then like
gambit.
a final
Yeah.
heal.
I gotcha.
Just
Have
to
your
be
portfolio
able
on
to,
there.
Yeah,
there you
just
go.
to be able to be like, hey, this is what it looks like when it's done, when it's healing after a touch-up, and when it's like finally healed. That way, it's not like, hey, I did this, and then somebody's like, well, how does it look when it's healed? I'm like, I don't know.
No, you got
You
well,
know?
yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah. For sure.
I'm just trying. I'm very thorough with a lot of things.
There's
that I
nothing
do.
wrong with that.
So I'm gonna be the same with this. So nobody knows what it is.
It'll
It's a
ser-
secret.
It'll
We'll-
serve
we'll
you well in
announce
the
it
long
soon.
run.
And last but not least, we have Chris. Chris, what is your at?
Chris House _tattoo, and actually no, because there's John.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. John, I almost forgot John.
It's okay. It's
Our moderator, bro.
Hey, John, remember that one time you forgot about me?
yeah.
I'll never forget about you.
I know.
It's just payback. Ashley asked me to leave you out. That's why.
No, he's lying.
Don't let her
Oh,
listen to
that's
you.
good. My at. Yeah, it's at Monster Media.
That's true.
All right.
That's what it is.
Facts.
So
That's a good name. I like that.
we got a couple cool things to talk about today, but let's start out with RJ. So I've met you so many times, but I've never actually sat down and like talked to you before. So
It's funny you say that because when Josh was tattooing me today, he's like, I don't know anything that you do. He's like, what do you do? How are you able to come down here so often and all that? I'm like, that's true. We haven't actually like sat down and just talked.
yeah. So,
So-
what's your story, man?
Born and raised Ohio. Funny enough, the business and the company that I own now is called Apex Communications Network, and we started from a podcast. So about 2018, my business partner, I met him. He had me on as a guest. So the premise of the podcast was ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So he had set up I think maybe 2 or 3 with who at the time was it ended up being the third part of our company. It was the two of them first. They had interviewed one of the students who had gotten shot at Kent State. He had gotten shot in the spine and lost his legs. He went on to do a whole bunch of Paralympic sports and triathlons and stuff. It was a very cool interview. I am terribly upset I didn't meet him like 2 months earlier to be a part of that one.
Yeah.
So I met him. He was very intrigued in me personally. I think most people, when they meet me for the first time, they're like, that's just a meathead guy who likes picking up heavy things and then putting it back down. And then as I started talking to him more, he's just like, oh, you watch anime, you build your own computers. Like you're there's a lot more to your awesome physique, as he would say himself. And I'm like, yeah. So he invited me on. He invited me on to be a guest, and it was awesome. First podcast, anything. I'm not someone who terribly likes to brag about themselves or talk about themselves all that much. I'm someone who's very much interested in other people.
You are such a nice guy, by the way, like legitimately.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And so it was weird going on there and having two people just sit there and be like, what did you do? How did you get into this? How can you bench press so much? What do you eat? How many eggs do you have in a day? And I was like, I'm not bad at this. And my episode ended up doing so well that they contacted me separately and asked, with like, it's got great reception. We'd like to have you on as a co-host. So I started then, met people, like we weren't making any money from it. Meeting people I would have never met before. One of the guests was one of the Wright brothers' granddaughters, who was one of like the most decorated female pilots. There was also a cardiac surgeon who, out of Cleveland, had a heart attack on his own table, died for a few minutes, came back, quit medicine, went back to get a theology degree, master's degree, like late in life, and then went back into medicine in like the 90s, 2000s to pioneer like men's sexual health. So like,
Jeez.
like before people were looking at like, why should your prostate not be the size of a lemon? Because that's going to be really bad for you. And so it was a whole nother industry that he basically super late in life turned around and started working on. And as we started garnering fellowship and really growing the brand in total, we had local companies around us that were sitting there and talking to us and asking like, well, how'd you do this? Like, how do you get so much traction on your website or your socials? How are you getting these higher profile guests? And I look at my business partners at the time and I'm like, we can't fucking tell them for free. I was just like, we worked way too hard on like hundreds, if not thousands of hours of, prep in how to build this from scratch, because I went to college for exercise science, sport management. My only co-owner now is a registered nurse and veteran.
Yeah.
We have no formal like the training or education in social media or marketing or anything like that. It was all self-taught. So we're going to convert a portion of the company into a brand strategy and marketing firm. We ended up doing that. It grew exponentially. We started adding services like Google ads, billboard ads, TV ads, programmatic ads, which are really creepy if you guys are ever interested in running those. They follow you. And website builds and consulting on, hey, you're a company who wants a rebrand, or you're a company that's starting, what is your, do you even know your demographic? Like a lot of questions that people who are really passionate, what we found is people who are very passionate about what they do often lack the foresight on who they should be marketing to. Like they're so ingrained in what they're good at and what they want to do. It's hard to find the people that are going to pay for those services or whatever.
It's kind of funny you say that, because like we've talked a lot about tattooing and stuff, how like there's so many facets of it. Like you can have someone who's a great artist but just sucks at social media, or someone that's amazing at social media but just
I hate to say this, but a lot of the best people who run their own businesses are the most unfit to run their own business. Like they should just practice what they do and leave the business portion of their lives to someone else who does finance, who does planning, who does a lot of other stuff like that.
So that's funny because Mitch and I were talking about business and stuff.
Yeah, well, we
Sorry, I was watching John.
John's locked in.
And John was like just so interested in what's
in.
happening. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got to switch."
Well, we were talking earlier because everybody here, like Chris and Ashley and you and even John, like all of us are sort of doing our own sort of business, right? And we were talking about, you know, kind of how to approach that or different thoughts on it.
Yeah, and it's weird because like you're saying, most people who own businesses like probably shouldn't. They should just like do their own thing. And honestly, that's kind of the approach like we took to owning the shop. You know what I mean? Where it's like, Mitch and I were kind of having this conversation recently about how we don't think a lot of tattooers really understand how bad they have it. You know, and like how much better it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically starts from a place of like not being greedy and letting people live their lives. So we were kind of talking about the idea of just being like maybe overly candid about the way that the shop, like our shop, is run.
Yeah.
To just kind of put it into perspective for people as to why maybe we're more, I don't want to say successful, but like maybe like why we're not having the same struggles as other people.
Oh, no.
Currently.
Absolutely.
I think that's a nice way of wording it. So,
but there's nothing wrong in saying that you get better Google reviews than other places, because that is a huge metric that people throw out there.
Yeah,
That's only one small component of
it really
though,
is.
you know, like,
because here's the thing, right? I have no social media training. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have like over 60K, right? And I just kind of figured it out. I figured out something that works for me, and I just kind of continued to do it and like figure it out as I went. And then I figured out like what my audience, like I think like a big thing is always like people can see through, like if you're not interested in something, right? Like,
oh, absolutely.
People can see what you're passionate about. And I was being forced to do these tattoos I didn't want to do. And I was like, I'm going to make a hard pivot. I'm going to delete 90% of everything on my Instagram, and I'm only going to post things that I like and that I want to do. And my boss at the time was super mad. He was like, you can't do that, like whatever. And it's like, I need to do this. So the moment I just started following what I want to do, my following went up like very consistently. So people could tell that that's what I wanted to do. That's what I was passionate about. That's what I wanted to pursue. And I did that. And eventually that grew and grew and grew until a point where I was so self-sustained that it was like, well, why am I working for someone who is just taking 50% of my hard work?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. Which led to us doing the shop. And that experience of like doing everything I want, like getting to a point where it's like, I can do exactly what I want to do, but this other person is like making me miserable. Really opened my eyes to how poorly other shops are run.
Yeah.
So the entire basis of the shop, like our shop, is we figured out what is the lowest amount of rent we can charge someone, because percentage, someone's getting fucked. You know, it just kind of like.
super quick interjection on that for people that don't tattoo. Over the last like 5-10 years, the quality of tattoos has gone up a lot, I would argue.
Yeah.
For across the board, there's a lot of great artists in general from years ago, but in general, I think the whole like skill floor has risen and prices have gone up.
Yeah.
So much. So like Chris charges, you know, like more than a lot of people would have a long time ago. And I've got a lot of friends that charge $2,000 a day. I've got friends that charge $3,000 a day, okay? So, which I think you could argue is worth it if you're getting a huge, large, custom piece that takes hours and hours of time to draw or tattoo, and it's of a certain quality and stuff like that. I think it's totally justifiable. But to consider, Chris is talking about a shop that charges, or that takes 50% from your cut. If you're charging, let's say $2,000 a day, and you work 5 days a week, that's
You're making $5,000.
yeah, that's $5,000
Yeah.
you're paying somebody.
Which I understand that a lot of people be like, oh, that's $5,000 a week, but
It's $20,000 a month.
exactly.
And what are you getting from that shop that's worth $20,000?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So that Mitch and I were talking about that whenever we opened it, and we were like, what is the minimum amount that you can charge? Because like if you're doing percentage, someone's getting fucked. It's normally the artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing hourly, someone's getting fucked. You know what I mean? Because it's normally the client. Because maybe you're not going to be able to look at that and be like, that will take me exactly 3 hours and 15 minutes. You know what I mean? And if you tell them, hey, it might be 3.5 hours, and it takes 4.5 hours, they're feeling like they got like fucked, and that like you just drug it out because you're money hungry.
You wanted, yeah.
Right? So no matter what, if you were charging based off of like a fluctuating metric, someone is getting shafted on it, right?
It just depends on the day who's catching the L on that
For sure.
one.
So
I gotcha.
We kind of talked about it. And we're like, all right, well, it just started off with me and Mitch. So initially it was like, well, look at the bills. We're going to split the bills in half, right? And we're going to do a small cushion for like, toiletries and like if the water heater explodes and like, you know what I mean? Just like the basic thing you would do if you were like, let's say like you're planning on moving out one day and you want to just like put some money aside, for a rainy day.
Yeah, the
like,
rainy day fund.
So essentially it was the bills in half plus rainy day. And that was it. And then we started talking about bringing other people on and stuff. And so we're like, okay, well, we were thinking about, well, what if we just divide it up each time? It's like we have 5 people, divide everything by like fifths and stuff. But then you run into the problem of, well, like, what if somebody leaves? So then everyone's rent goes up because someone decided they wanted to move to California. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not fair. So we determined once we hit a certain number of people, like that, like the number's never going to dip below that. We'll charge $1,500 a month, right? Because we want everyone to be able to live the best quality life they can have, because that's how they produce the best quality work. Everyone's happy. If you decide you want to go on vacation 2 weeks out of every month,
you have the ability to.
You can do that.
Yep.
If like you're just free to live your life in the way you choose to live it.
Yeah.
If you want to work 7 days a week, like we're not benefiting from that. All right. But the person is.
Yes.
If that's what they want to do, they can do that.
And at the end of the day, it benefits everyone as a whole.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because if that person feels fulfilled, everyone else like kind of like gels off of that. So we landed on 15 because like
$1,500.
$1,500.
$15.
15,000. Yeah. So 1,500 because that makes it to where the shop essentially makes very, very, very little. Because like all the bills every month, it's like I think all the bills total are something like $4,000.
Yeah. Well, to clarify with that too, the rent fluctuates based on like our lease. It goes up
Every year.
every year, and there's like an HVAC bill.
Yeah.
Like a couple other things. So
Maintenance.
Yeah, it's between like $4,000 and $5,000.
Yeah.
And the depreciating value
yeah.
of the maintenance.
And funny enough, it's like adding all of that rent up, the shop is only making like $1,000 extra a month. And me and Chris had I think the toilets broke like 6 times in the course of like 2 months, and I don't even know how much money it cost.
Oh, it was about $5,000.
Yeah, it was insane.
Chris knows.
But
it was
but Mitch and I talked about it. And
Great toilets, by the way.
Thank you. One is like a super
Now.
flusher. But we decided we're not going to touch the money in the shop account. We just, each time a bill came up, we just split it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we didn't want to take that fund and just drain it. Because the goal was every year we wanted to be able to do something, right? This year we decided we're going to take everyone to Anime Inc. Right? And Mitch and I didn't even use the money from the shop to do it. We just did it personally. Like I paid for the entire booth and everyone's licenses.
That's awesome.
Mitch paid for the Airbnb. is an equivalent amount of money.
Fair enough.
And
Yeah.
we did that because we wanted everyone to feel like their money is for something.
Yes.
Right? Like,
It's an investment.
yeah. If anyone in the shop is ever like, I could use some more shelving here, we just do it. Like, we just get the shelving, right? If anyone's ever like, have y'all thought about doing this? We do it. You know, like, within reason. You know what I mean? And it's because, like, most shops, whenever you work there, you feel like the money's just kind of like being set on fire. Or the owner's just like shoving it in their fucking pocket.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I suspect that a lot of it is a feeling on the artist end of that money is just for them to be there, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. This pays for my seat to be here. And I mean, there's obviously other industries and stuff that are like that, like cosmetology and whatnot, and that feeling of pay to play or whatever it is, and not pay to participate or be part of something bigger than yourself and the seat that they gave you in the corner of the room plays a lot. If you guys want, like, from the outside looking in, what you guys do the best, and that I don't see in a lot of other industries and in not a lot of tattoo shops, and this is what we found, especially working through COVID, companies with a great amount of transparency into what the inner culture of the company is like does a hell of a lot better in terms of retention for employees, as well as retention of clients, customers, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
You guys are who you are, whether someone were to catch you on the street, whether someone was coming in a professional setting for a tattoo, or on recordings with John or your own social medias, which I've been in a fair amount of other tattoo shops where it very much feels like a business. You're checked in, they're taking your temperature, they got your blood pressure ring on you, and you're out the door, and you're like, was I getting something for myself, or was I just at a doctor's appointment? Yeah. And I think that's I've told you guys this multiple times, but I'm a lifer at the shop at this point, and it's because of the atmosphere that you guys bring to the place. Thank you. And that is obviously very apparent in the way that you guys have chosen to, orchestrate your business. I think I know Michael well, I know Josh well, everybody else who's kind of moved in, I have a pretty good understanding of the type of people that they are, and they're here because they want to be, not because they feel that they need to be here. Yeah. And you guys do a great job of making everything a large community effort, and like I said, being a part of something more than yourself, and that type of camaraderie is hard to come by, especially nowadays when everything is obvious. Yes, everything is pricier. Just being alive is more expensive and daunting on a daily basis. And when you have a place to, like, Nimbus, that allows you to work and be creative and bounce ideas off of and collaborate with like-minded individuals, where you're all pumping your energy, time, and your money into pushing the business as a whole forward, and you see it doing well, and you see people coming back, like myself, time and time again, it makes a huge difference, not only to and not only to the clients, but I think I would say all your employees love where they're at and love what they're doing, and that's because of the company culture that you've set.
Yeah. Well, I remember, like, whenever like we were interviewing Chris Rogers, and he asked me point blank, he's like, what can you offer me? And I was like, nothing.
And that's his point. Fair question.
And
for him.
He
Great
literally
question.
said, I love that. He's like, you're not bullshitting me.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I'm gonna give you, like, a clean space to work that's safe, and you can do with it what you want, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, what's your artist retention plan? And I was like, making sure people are happy.
Damn, who coached him? those are textbook questions, man. Those are great.
He does. The last shop he worked at, they promised him everything and just rug pulled him.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, and I didn't know that at the time. Yeah. And so he's like, what can you offer me? I was like, nothing, dog. Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? And I was like, because honestly, because he was like, oh, I like that, He's like, what's your artist retention plan? I was like, just making people happy. And I was like, look, my goal, clearly, like, if you own a business, like, you eventually want to make money. Like, but my thing about it was, I don't want to make a ton of money off of other people.
Yeah.
Like, I want to work in a place that I'm happy with, that makes other people happy, and having that, like, breeds, like, longevity.
Correct.
Like what you're saying, right?
Yep.
So, like, artist retention and people being happy, and, like, the happier I am and the happier, like, everyone else is there, like, that spreads, and that longevity does translate into income.
Profit. Yep.
But it's not, like, raking it off of people.
It's not
or skimming-
instantaneous.
Yeah, you're not like
yeah.
skimming it off the top. It's not like visible in your bank account every single month.
Yeah.
But I'm booked out for a year constantly, right? Like, and I'm doing better monetarily than I ever have. And I'm not taking money from the shop. Like, Mitch isn't taking money from the shop. And, like, Mitch is doing, like, I would say, like, the best you've ever done, right?
Oh, yeah. I have a couple points really quick that I want to kind of, like, throw out there as well really quickly. Like, obviously no place is perfect, right?
Yeah.
Of course not. And there are disadvantages to doing it the way that we've done it at Nimbus and stuff. For example, if your goal is to own your own shop and to make money off of that, you want to retire and stuff like that. Like we just talked about, the shop makes, like,
Nothing.
pretty much not. It's not. It doesn't function well for that to be the purpose. But if you want to have good artists, the culture around tattooing has changed so much. Which, by the way, if anybody wants to interject, definitely interject, because I could talk about this forever. But the culture's changed where, like, years ago, it'd be like you'd have a shop that had a significant name or reputation, and you'd go to that shop because you know that there are good artists there and stuff. And that's kind of how people get tattooed. But now with Instagram and how that's kind of changed, like, I even told Chris Rogers the other day, and I mean, Chris has encouraged him, you know, if he, like, he has voiced that he wants to, like, open his own shop someday, and it's like, yeah, man, like, you know,
No,
like,
no one's stopping you.
Like,
That's
even to the point where he has said before, you know, he's owned shops in the past, and he's like, yeah, my dream is to, like, do it again, but, like, do it in this kind of way, right? In, like, this very specific way he has in mind. And I was like, yeah, man, for sure. And, like, and our health department guy came to me and was like, and he loves Georgia, he really likes it here. And our health department guy came by and was like, yeah, there's the laws are changing, and they're going to allow tattoo shops in these 2 places. And one of the places is literally where he lives, and he didn't know about it.
Oh,
And so
convenient.
the next time I saw him, I was like, by the way, my health department guy came, and he said this to me, and he said it's first come, first serve. I don't think anyone else knows about it. I was like, so
Get in there.
I was like, if that's something you want to do, yeah, I think it's the cats. I was like, if that's something
Hopefully.
you want to do, then, you know, I think you should do it.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked shocked for a second, because, like, objectively, that is the dumbest thing you could do as a business owner. Do you know what I mean?
Tell your employee to go start his own competitive business in the same market.
Yeah.
I would say
13 minutes away.
I mean, all right. So even outside looking in from my perspective on that, right?
Yeah.
Though it's like, on technicality, yes, it is competitive, but it's
Yeah.
also not. Like, everyone that's getting tattooed gets tattooed by, like, everybody at the shop.
Yeah.
Like a good many.
there's a
would
lot
say.
of cross pollination.
Yeah,
Right,
I,
yeah.
but
right.
I think me and Rogers literally share clients. Like, we do collab sleeves
Yes,
together,
yep,
and it's
yes.
like, my thing is, like, if he decided he wanted to do that, I would let him work there until the day it opened. And if anyone was like, what happened to Chris? I'd be like, oh, he opened up a shop, like,
Yeah.
5 minutes from here. Like, go get
I mean-
tattooed by, like, because it's not, to me, it's not competitive, because, like what Mitch is saying, it used to be people went to a shop because it had a name. People just go to artists that they like now.
Yes.
Like,
Exactly.
It's
That's what I was
very
trying to
different.
say.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
Self-promotion.
Even if he did that, right, and he opened a shop 10 minutes down the street, if that client wanted to get tattooed by Mitch, they would just go to Mitch.
Yeah.
If they want to get tattooed by Rogers, they just go to Rogers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It does. No one gives a fuck where you're at.
That being housed under umbrellas or individual shops, that way of shopping for a tattoo is different nowadays.
It is.
Everyone, I mean, and that goes across almost all industries. You have your own marketable billboard in every conceivable location, from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok or whatever you want it to be. So no, that makes complete sense. And from a business owner side of view, handling how you did with Chris and giving him that push to be creative and do his own things regardless of what, cross markets would be. I mean, my company has been big in that anybody who's joined us or worked with us or been an intern or like a contract worker, our whole business is based around the idea that it's a giant network and everyone is helping each other get jobs or place people in jobs and kind of spread that wealth around.
Yeah.
Like, and especially we have very few just in-house like W-2 employees that work just for us. But one of them, and I've spoken to you about him before, is James. Mm-hmm. James is, we hired him as our web dev guy back in like 2020. He is technically blind. So when James works on the computer or looks at documents, he zooms into like 300, 400 plus, and then he still looks at the screens like almost directly up to his face. One day he approached us and was just like, hey, I was talking to some clients and they led us to the idea of digital accessibility. I'd like to pursue that. And me and my co-founder were like, one of our slogans for our podcast at a time is we are passionate about what you're passionate about. So we talked to him and we could instantly tell in his voice, in his demeanor, this is something that he really wanted us to do. And no amount, we both wouldn't have been able to go home at night and been like, sorry, we need you to pump out these 40 websites for us. There's no time for anything else. But there are companies and people who run their businesses like that because when you're with us, you're on our time. We're paying you to do the jobs that we give you. But what we found with a lot of people that we've worked with is the risk there between letting someone do what they want to do, the return on those, if they do come back with something that works in the end, ends up being so much more profitable for you than you just telling them to knock out the jobs that they were supposed to. So we told James, like, go for it. We'll help you get in front of the people if there's stuff that needs to be paid for or time off for you to train for this stuff, go for it. He turns around like 6 months later and we're in a team meeting. He's like, yeah, I just wanted to get everything out on the table. This is what we're doing. I have calls with the head of accessibility for Verizon and General Electric next week, and I'm going to finish these websites. I was like, hold the... I was like, wait, hold on a second. You have meetings with who? He's like, yeah, the head of accessibility for Verizon. And we're like, what? So, and from that point, it snowballed. He ended up being one of only like 400 people at the time who were certified to be able to do accessibility audits on people's social media and website. For anybody who doesn't know, digital accessibility is the same thing as physical space accessibility, late 90s, early 2000s. You have ramps, you have signage, you have railings put in. This is the same thing, but in the digital space, so that somebody has an equivalent experience from beginning to end on a digital platform as a fully able person. So you're able to check out and buy clothes from a website. You're able to pay your bills. You're able to schedule your doctor's appointment without a hindrance of, hey, the screen doesn't get big enough for me. I can't read the text or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So he came back and we started getting, that led into businesses around our local area, like the Pro Football Hall of Fame, who is interested in us, editing their, looking through and auditing their website. And I started doing more stuff with James, and I've always wanted to, give back. Before I got into the business I have now, I was going to school to be a PA, a physician's assistant. And I wanted to work in early childhood development with kids that were on the spectrum, trying to get them to live as as baseline normal of a life as you can when you struggle with that type of stuff. So when I wasn't going to resign myself to, hey, I'm the guy that drove James to this round table. I said, I should probably know what I'm talking about if I'm going to be here. So I follow James. I looked up to him technically as his boss. I'm following in all the footsteps that he got, that he took, ended up becoming the same certifications that he did. And now we're a team on that entire wing of our company now. So on the one side, I run everything on the back end. I do all invoicing. I do all payroll. I wrote the handbook for our company. But the most rewarding side of my company, I am partners with him, and we go around. We deals with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We're currently auditing Frontier Airlines' website. We're developing a course and going to be professors with one another for the first accredited digital accessibility class in the nation. And all of that would be gone. Would have never happened if we would have never took the time to see how passionate James was about those things and let him go for it, even if there was a chance that it hindered or he got picked up by another company because of his new set of skills and we lost him altogether.
Yeah, you invested in your
employees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say also is like, so talking about like investing in your employee or something. So like to be clear, like no one's really an employee. Like the people that work at the like basically we're just glorified landlords if you really want to call it that.
Yeah.
But like, so if you were a tattoo artist and you were listening to this, I want you to do two things. Okay. I want you to think about how this affects you, because I've talked to so many of my friends that tattoo and very few of them really think about how this stuff works. Right. So we do booth rent at the shop. So basically, we don't provide anything for you. We don't do any booking for you. That's like kind of the drawback of why it's so cheap. You have to. I hired somebody to do my scheduling for me.
Mm-hmm.
I
do
pay
all my
for
own.
all my supplies. Yeah, Chris does his own stuff. So all of that you have to take care of yourself. No one really bothers you, and you're able to do what you want to do and charge what you want to charge and work what days you want to work, which should be the bare minimum, by the way. If you work at a shop that doesn't let you do that, there is a whole other set of information about W-2 employees versus 1099 employees, and like a lot of shop owners are absolutely playing jump rope with that, and that's not really cool. But something I want you to consider, right? Another reason why percentage is really bad for you, okay, is not just because if you charge $2,000 a day, you end up giving some random dude like 20 grand a month, right? Which is completely absurd. To me, there's nothing that you can justify for that. And like talking with Chris, if we did that at Nimbus, we wouldn't keep anybody. You know, you have to make it worthwhile for people to be there, which is why you can be more choosy about what artists you have, if they're good, you know, like all kinds of stuff like that. But the other benefit of doing booth rent, right, is let's say it was like, okay, yeah, one of the artists that works at the shop, right, they are required to pay $1,500 a month, okay? So every single month, they send that money out, and they've paid their rent. At the end of the year, they will be able to write off, it'd be $1,500 a month times 12, which I'm not about to do that math and mess it up on the podcast, but it's
18 grand.
18. I was going to say a little less than 20, yeah, so 18 grand. So you have $18,000 a month that you have as write-offs, not counting the supplies that you pay
purchase for yourself.
Or if you hire somebody to do your booking like I did. There's a lot of things that you get as write-offs. But if you work at a shop that does percentage, sure, you might get somebody that does your booking, and you might get some clientele from that, and you might have some other benefits, like they provide paper towels and A&D ointment, which, by the way, doesn't cost anything. Yeah, it costs like
pennies
nothing.
on the dollar.
I mean, I probably spend, counting all the ink and needles and everything, I probably spend like $400 a month roughly on supplies.
Like,
but if you consider,
but not 20 grand.
No, yeah,
not 10 grand.
Like,
RJ, you've seen all the ink I have.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Per year, I probably spend $5 grand on ink. Which, yeah, you're like, oh man, that's a lot of money. The last shop I worked at, I gave that guy double that a month.
Yeah. Which I want you to...
That's incredible.
You're going to know where I'm going with this in a second if any of you have kind of been following what I'm trying to say. But if you are giving some dude... So if you charge $2,000 a month and you work at a percentage shop, they don't give the money to you. They give it to the person at the front counter, and then they give you your cut. So what happens is at the end of the year, the shop gets... Like if say it's 50%, they get $1,000 of write-offs per tattoo.
I see
and
what
you
you're saying.
Get nothing
and you can't
for write-offs.
Yeah.
And some shops will also be like, we'll also get your supplies. So they will take the money and
they'll
then buy the supplies and they get the write-offs.
So a lot of shops will try to like pitch it to you where it's like, oh, we'll do all your booking for you, and we'll order all of your supplies for you. And it's like, on paper, if you're just like, yeah, I don't want to deal with anything, I just want to come in and tattoo Itachi.
Yeah.
like that can sound appealing on paper, but
it's so bad.
Become
but
tax
in
time. It's not
reality,
appealing.
dude, I have friends who owe the IRS so much money.
One of my friends paid $25,000 last year.
No way.
I owed like I think I owed like $4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Jesus.
yeah, so it's like they act like, dude, we're just gonna take care of you, bro. Like all you gotta do is show up, and you just gotta.
Well, on paper,
You just make your posts on Instagram. We'll even take your photos for you, bro. And you're like, oh, that sounds good. And at the end of the year, they're
That's
like,
nice.
thank you. And at the end of the year, they're like, yeah, you're fucked. You know what
But
I mean?
some of that is not because I have friends that are like, bro, I don't want to do my booking. I just like you were just saying, and you're totally right.
yeah.
Like sometimes you're better staying out of that aspect of your business.
Yeah, and
you know?
no, I completely agree. And it does take some level of like introspection to look there and say, is it something? And this is something that we talk a lot about. Is it something that you don't want to do, or is it something that you shouldn't be doing?
I'm so bad at social media. Genuinely, I'm terrible at it. And like I would benefit from that. Truthfully, I'm just not good at that. But I think if you were working, like I have this dude I've gotten to know through tattooing. I tattoo his girlfriend. He is the nicest guy.
Yep.
He's like the nicest dude. But what happens to a lot of artists, myself included, and Chris, you work at a shop and you get to know the owner, and it's like this weird Stockholm syndrome where you feel like you owe this guy for like taking a chance on you and stuff, and you don't want to leave. And the guy was like, he's like, yeah, he takes 60%, but like he taught me to tattoo, and like they tell me I have to work 6 days a week, and like I can't leave until certain times of night. Some days I'm only on walk-ins.
Dude,
I was the last person
what,
to graduate.
what
I
they
was like,
do,
what?
what they
Like,
do in those circumstances is like, it's literally like an abuser.
It's predatory.
It
You know,
is.
they literally isolate you from like everyone. You're just at the shop all the time. You're like, this is my home. This is where I feel comfortable. And like bad shit will happen.
They don't want you to leave or do any
And
guest
they'll be
spots,
like, but yeah, tell me about your problems, man. Like, oh, that's crazy. Like, oh, like, dude, like, you can talk to me, you know. And it's like, that's what happens, you know. And that's what people do when they get like power and control.
Yeah.
And like they see the monetary interest they have in you is so high that they will make everyone out to be the bad guy. Like Mitch was saying, they'll be like doing guest spots is stupid, dude. Like, why would you travel and spend all that money just to give some dude like money? Like, that makes no sense. And they
Give
will,
me your
learn
money.
that the grass
Yes.
is greener on the
and they will
other
pitch
side.
it to you that way, right? And the amount of like artists we have that come, because we tattoo a lot of tattooers, and they'll like just talk about stuff, and me and Mitch are like, dude, just fucking leave. Like,
yeah,
No
like,
one's trapping
you
you
know what I mean?
there. You can't walk out.
and it's pretty insane. So like we wanted to just like remove that entire dynamic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Vaughn has expressed interest in opening up a shop one day, and Rogers has, and I'm like,
Go for
Do
it.
it.
I was like, dog, I will help you. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what do you need to know? Like, I'll like,
Yeah.
like, you know, we can talk about it, you know, stuff. And you just have to like, because the reality is, if one of them just decided to leave, like, bro, we would have so many people be like, can I come?
Get me in there.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't even.
I can't draw for shit, but
But
seriously,
we don't
get
even
me in there.
necessarily. We don't. The benefit of like the way we're doing it is like, but we don't even have to have someone else if we don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't matter because
The machine doesn't stop. You have set it up in a way that the machine does not stop moving forward if one wheel falls off.
If everybody
it's self-sustaining.
left, we would still be fine.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like because
Just
like
put a gym in the back.
like okay
Yeah,
like,
we'll
okay.
just bring RJ out there,
Dude, yeah. Hold on, wait, hold on. I'm liking the way that this is going.
Okay,
There's
I
plenty of
say this,
room back there.
So we were talking about being as candid as possible. I want people to like fully 100% understand this.
Yeah.
Okay. The last shop I worked at, I worked for a guy that refused to let me charge more than $800 a day for my stuff because he said no one would pay for it. Okay. And I was also forced to do tattoos I didn't want to do. I was forced to be there minimum from noon until 8, 5 days a week. I wasn't allowed to come in early. I wasn't allowed to leave early. I was only allowed to get 14 days off a year outside of like my normal 2 days off every week.
think it was 7 actually.
Huh?
I think it was 7.
No, we had
wasn't
14 days that we were allowed to take off.
it? Oh, okay.
You guys were both at the same shop.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
For the entire
That's what I
year.
thought.
Okay, for the entire year. And the only holidays that counted for free was Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. Okay? So first off, there's that. Second off, if you were physically sick at the shop and this dude could see that you were physically sick, he'd be like, well, he would still make you work unless you wanted to leave. And then if you left, that it was not excused unless you got a doctor's note. This dude watched me break out in full body hives. And when I was at the doctor, I texted him that I was at the ER at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And this dude texted me back and said, better get a doctor's note. No shit, right?
Which, by the way, again, so much of that is completely illegal to do if somebody is a 1099 worker.
Yeah.
You should look it up. If you have somebody doing that to you at your shop, you can submit a form
Oh yeah.
and they will have to pay back taxes on any of their employees that like not even just you. Like if
everyone.
they look into it, any employee they've had and like
So you guys were 1099s there.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Okay.
I wasn't,
Yeah, so-
I wasn't sure.
So there's more to this.
There's a delay.
Okay, so
I know all this because we work with a lot of 1099, but like you don't have to adhere to like the HR policies. You don't if there's a dress like there. It is a whole separate set of rules for 1099.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
There's
so-
some gray area in some of that, but
we were everyone at that shop was a 1099 worker, but we were employees. We were treated as 100% employees.
Well, with
Okay,
the militaristic schedule that you just told me and
Yes.
rules, I
So
would have guessed
we-
you were a W-2.
we could not turn away tattoos. Like we had to do it. If there was someone who walked in at 7:58 and they're like, I want this clock on my arm, you're fucking doing it
until it's done.
until it's done.
Oh yeah.
which all of this is to say. if
Well,
you-
no, there's more.
Yeah.
So my point in saying all this is
This is always mine.
I was giving this dude 50% of my money to control my life. Now, at that shop, again, there was a cap on how much I was allowed to charge, right?
Yeah.
I was also hiring people, firing people. I was essentially
Your office manager.
I was the manager, more or less. I taught the owner how to fucking tattoo, okay?
Yeah,
Now,
you did tell me that.
Now listen to this, okay? I was making at that shop about $2,000 a week. Okay?
You had 3 full-time jobs.
So, and that was like me like busting my ass at that place,
No way.
right? I had to do walk-ins in between my all-day appointments. There was a couple times, where I would take a break and a walk-in would come in and this dude would make me set up and do the walk-in during my fucking tattoo. Okay? I'm not joking. Mitch saw it. So
Oh yeah.
Like
there
small
were
ones?
times
Like-
where I was
like-
doing my big tattoo. He would fuck up a tattoo. I would have to go fix it and then go back to my tattoo. Okay? All this to say, per month I was making about $8,000. Okay? And that was the most money I'd ever made in my life. Okay?
At-
Which is good money for the
Yeah.
record.
yeah.
I make
comparatively.
$8,000 a week now, working 4 days, doing whatever the fuck I want to do.
That, I mean,
I charge between $1,800 and $2,200 a day, right? I can take off whenever I want. I can work whatever hours I work.
you're allowed to get sick.
Yeah, I get home when the sun is out, right? I'm allowed to go in early, so I go to work at 10 o'clock every day. I can take breaks whenever I want to. Like, if I need to take a phone call, I can. I don't do walk-ins. I don't do, like, regular black and gray. I am so happy with the state of my life, right? And I make so, like, I told Ashley, I was like, the amount of money I made in a month having the soul sucked out of me,
Right.
right?
Which, to your point, too,
That's,
most people would be like,
yeah.
that's a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
that-
I'll
It
take,
is-
I'll
it
take
is
a,
a
little.
lot.
I'll take a
It
little
is.
suck.
It is. Like, and
With
I get that. I really do get that.
There are
But,
people
like,
that work way harder
Yes,
than us,
yeah.
by the way, for
But-
much less.
But here's the thing,
So-
right? So I,
That's
like,
blowing my mind.
that was me working 20 days a month, making $8,000 versus
4
I can make
a
that
week.
in 4, right? And I understand people are like, damn, that's crazy. But like, you also have to acknowledge that I've been doing the same job since I was 18 years old. I have like 13 years of experience. Like, I have busted my ass doing this. And anyone who has like had this same career and like progressed in it, like, you see gradual pay increases. Right?
Yeah.
And like, if you are at a shop and you like, what I would implore anyone to do is look at the amount of money you technically should make. Okay? Look at it. And then ask yourself, why am I not actually making that?
Yeah.
Because if you are charging an amount for a tattoo, you are charging that amount. So if you charge $800 a day, and that is like, you set that price, right? It is because you believe that tattoo is worth $800.
Of your time,
Right?
money, effort, whatever.
Your skill set, everything. Then ask yourself, if it is worth $800, why am I forfeiting half of that to somebody? What am I gaining from that?
Yeah.
And if it's not a good answer, fucking leave.
Yeah. That was what I was going to say earlier. Like, all of this stuff was really, at least for me, was to say, like, take a minute if you're a tattooer, look at how much you're charging, try to add up really quickly roughly what your supplies is worth, look at what you're giving your boss, and if you're happy there, fantastic, but you should still look at it. Look at, are they paying you? Do they get the tax write-offs for the money that you get from your stuff? How many followers do you have? Are you, because like, as at the end of the day, if you're giving somebody 20 grand a month or even 10 grand a month, bro, you can open your own shop
At that
money.
point, yeah.
There's no reason for you to do
It
that.
is so unbelievably. Mitch and I decided we were going to open the shop, right? Do you know how long it took? Huh?
This is where I was talking about. I get passionate about what
Yeah.
other people are. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it in this room right
It
now.
makes me so angry.
This stuff we talk about so
I know,
much.
it does.
over the
But
years,
it makes me so angry because shop owners are so parasitic and they make you honestly believe that it's the hardest thing in the world to open a shop. There's so much overhead. All this kind of shit. Do you realize? Okay, me and Mitch decided we're going to open up the shop. From the day that we decided we are going to open the shop to it opening was 4 months.
I mean, that's a hell of a turnaround, if I'm being honest.
While
Which, for the
working at this
record-
fucking place. With no one knowing.
Yeah, which for the record was through a huge amount of effort, truly on Chris's part. I didn't do nearly as much as you did getting it going and everything, which was still a lot. I mean, it was a lot on my end too, but there was so much that did go into it.
Yeah.
So there's something to prepare yourself for if you decide to do
the
that.
thing is, we got a very large space, right? If you are an individual artist,
Yeah.
to rent a very small studio space for just yourself,
Yeah. Well, that's
to get an LLC, like where that way, you know, if you don't know what LLC is, it's a limited liability corporation. That way, if someone sues you, it's basically like a shield. Like, you are the company if
He's
you're the
correct.
single owner. Like, so like, for example, Mitch and I at the shop, Mitch and I are like we are both on the lease, right? But to keep things simple for the taxes, like, I am the sole owner of like the
The
corporation.
LLC.
Yep.
It's more expensive if you have two people on an LLC. It's more, and quite frankly, if I didn't know Chris since I was like in 7th grade, that would be a huge, like, that'd be scary. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But
because you could just
know-
cut and run.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't even do.
But my name is still on the lease, so there's like it's
Yeah. So like, Mitch and I are in it together, no
Yeah.
matter what, right? And we've had conversations about like, what do we do with the money at the end of it, right? But like, whenever that day is. But because of that, like, I don't want the shop to make an exuberant amount of money because my stuff gets, like, my taxes get done as a Schedule C2,
Yep.
right? So that means like the amount of money that the shop makes is included in my taxes with what I make. So like, I don't want to be in a crazy tax bracket, right?
Because you start pulling that in with all the other artists, and you're climbing the tax bracket
Yeah.
real quick.
So the goal with that is like, I make a lot more money, but if I keep it under a certain number,
Yeah.
then I'd have to pay less in taxes, and that's money that I saved that I can put in my savings. Because
Correct.
as a tattooer, you don't have a retirement fund, you don't have a 401k.
You
have
are
to
your retirement
you
fund.
create your own retirement, right? So like, that's what I'm doing, right? And I'm doing that with my money that I have made through tattooing. And while owning the shop, like, I haven't made money off of other people, right? but I made the opportunity to make more money for myself.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
It's also funny, really quickly, just because I have another friend that was looking to open a shop, and he was talking about hiring all these people, and like how much they would charge, they were going to do percentage and all this other stuff. And I was kind of explaining to him, I was like, well, he had a business partner, and he's like, well, we agreed, kind of like me and Chris, that we're not going to touch any of the money. It's just going to be in there, right? I was like, he's like, cool, I'm going to hire 10 people. I was like, okay, so if you get $5,000 a month, right, from 10 people, okay, it's $50,000 a month. So at the end of the year,
What are you doing with that, bud?
well, what I was going to say to him is, if you're not taking any money out of it, at the end of the year, the shop will recognize your income as part. The
It's
shop's
part of
income
your
is
profit.
your income.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to pay, half $500,000 in taxes. You know what I mean? Which I was like, that's, if you're not ready for that, or you don't know to expect that, that's like an additional thing that happens. And it's so fun. Like, it's not funny that people don't think about this stuff, but it's like, people get so tired and so worn out from like working and like all this other stuff. They don't take time to look into like, well, how should I get treated at this job? How much does this cost me? Why is it set up the way that it's set up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, how can this benefit me better? Even if you're going to open up your own shop, consider stuff like that. If you just look at it, if you try to get yourself out of a bad situation like these shops are, which, by the way shops have been, is not going to last much longer. It's just not.
Well, that's
for
what I
these
was.
reasons.
That's what I was about to ask. So I know we touched on it previously, and you guys mentioned how the shop dynamic has changed in self-promotion through individual social media, and that as professionals yourself, and I've seen quite a few people do this, recently, for someone who is looking to do that and maybe not moving to another shop, do you think in the climate that it is now, it would be better for an artist to, what do they call them, private
for sure.
Do you think that would be think that's the route to start
going
now? I think so,
because if you think about it like this, right? If you're giving someone 50% of your money, all right, then all you have to do is open up a spot individually. And if your bills do not exceed 50% of the money you're making through tattooing, you're automatically doing better.
In profit. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so if you tattoo and you make $5,000 a week, like we were saying, right? If you charge, let's do even lower, right? Let's say you make $500 a day, right? So you're making $2,500 a week, right? So that's like what, 10 grand a month, right? So as long as your bills are less than $5,000 a month,
yeah, and for a private studio,
then you're basically paying less money to have more freedom.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. You can work the hours you want. Like, I was talking to Ashley about this. Like, the thing that blows my mind is most people get into tattooing because they don't want a 9-to-5. They don't want a conventional work environment. They don't want to work at a cubicle, right?
Yeah.
They want to have freedom. So the fact that, like, owners of shops have taken this, like, magical job where it's like you can have the most freedom artistically, humanly possible. And they're like, what if I just took that and destroyed it?
Crushed it, and
made
put it in
you
a box.
and made you feel like you were grateful for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is
crazy.
insane. So, like, the idea that, like, now artists have more power than the shops makes me so happy, because it's getting back to the idea of, like, what tattooing is supposed to be. It's like freedom, self-fulfillment, like doing those things to make you happy and not feel like you're just like a wage slave. You know what I mean? Because like that's what it's become, and it was inevitable that it was unsustainable.
Yeah. I mean, they're just in those types of shops that you're talking about, they sound like cattle that are there strictly for the purpose to, wring money out of them, and that's horrible. That's
horrible. Dude, you're
horrible.
basically taught in those shops that, like, and I've heard this so many times, they're like, tattooers are a dime a dozen, and like, like, if you leave, like, it's fine, we'll just like replace you. And what's funny? The last shop that said that, that's crazy, because they couldn't replace us.
Well, and from like somewhat of a and that is a horrible, absolutely terrible business model to go off of, because just subconsciously, most people do not like change. So if you're someone who frequents a place like I do, coming down to Nimbus, whether I liked it or not, or was actively thinking about it, if every time I came, I saw 2 different artists or a new person started and then, came down after a month or whatever, it automatically degrades the quality of the brand subconsciously in your mind without you having to actively think like, I wonder why their turnover rate's so bad here. You start realizing, you're like, in the back of your own mind, you start figuring out there's a reason no one stays here. There's a reason I never see the same faces. There's a reason that everything's always changing, moving, and being different in here.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people like with tattooing where like they get tattooed like seasonally or once a year, or only on special occasions, right? Mm-hmm. So someone only gets tattooed like twice a year, and they're like, I always go to this place, it's like the the good spot or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the last place we worked at, I'm telling you, there's some people that every time they came in, they'd be like, who the fuck is that?
Who's that guy over there?
They're like, what happened to this person? What happened to And then you're just basically like playing chess, like with the fucking person, because the owner's looking at you from across the corner, like, don't fucking.
What did you tell them? Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's how it is.
Yeah, and like you're just forced into that. Like, that's insane. And especially now, I feel like people fuck themselves because everything now, like artists are so like, because they are the flagship of like the brand. If you put your artists that are like really good front and center, and then people bail, you can't expect people to not go, what happened, man?
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like,
I'm all about the hot goss.
Like, and that's why we try and that's why we try to make everything so transparent. Do you know what I mean? If someone like clearly if someone left for like a deep personal reason, like if someone like
it's different
in their family had like some kind of disease or something, like we would just be like, and I'm sure that the artist that would leave, like they would just be like, yeah, I had to leave for like like my family, like medical reasons or something, like. And we would just kind of leave it at that. But, like, I feel like if anyone left at this point, it would just be like, yeah, they wanted to open a shop or they wanted to move. And, like, I would just say it. Like, it wouldn't be like this weird, like, no one say anything.
Beat around the bush.
Well,
yeah.
That's also, though, I think by virtue of everybody being independent. Because when you have, like, if your fingers were in somebody else's life or somebody else's, like, way of doing something and then it goes south, it's a lot. It's like impossible for it to not be a little bit personal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at any job, that's how it always is. But like when you just have a situation where you're like, cool, man, like we're on the same page for like what expectations are, but like just kind of like, you know what I mean? It becomes way less of like a.
Yeah. Well, the way it is now, it's like if you look at our shop, right? Everyone's followings in the shop total something like $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then if one person like left. And it was like we all like acted weird about it. It's like no one's saying like why or something. It's like you tell me like no one's allowed to like be curious about that.
Yeah. Well,
because like naturally it's like, dude, that's kind of like because again, you're the face of it. Mm-hmm. You're like this thing. So like if people are going to recognize if you're unhappy, people are going to recognize if like you left on bad terms. Like it's so like transparent.
People want that transparency.
Yeah, and I think that's what you were saying before. It's like I think that's why things have gone as well as we have. We've had like with artists, we've had no turnover. Like anyone who's come and stayed, like we're all friends. We all hang out and do things together, and like I don't know, it's not forced. Like like people have, like for example, like a lot of the guys play Dungeons and Dragons, right? Yeah. And they asked everyone to do it. And me and Ashley were like, nah, we're good. Like, we have, like, stuff to do. We have, like, Arwen and stuff. And no one... her child. And no one was like, damn, that's fucked up that they didn't come hang out.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, yeah, for sure. And, like, but if we're all going out to dinner, everyone gets invited. Like, and no one cares if someone doesn't come.
Yeah.
No one gets, like, ostracized or something.
Yeah.
And I feel I've been in shops before where that happens. Like if people click up and everything.
Oh,
and like, I think there are people in the shop who definitely hang out more than others. But
if that's just natural.
Yeah,
though.
but like if someone walks up, they're not like, "Damn, bro, what you want?" Like
don't say nothing.
Like everyone's very transparent with everyone. It's and it's chill.
It goes a long way. That openness and transparency goes a long way.
The number of artists, even I was talking to somebody that works at the shop like a couple of days ago, and they were talking about how like the last shop they're at, there was some like screaming match like on the way out, kind of, or like There's like just a whole bunch of crazy stuff on the exit to like leaving, and maybe not the last shop, but just some shop that was worked at. And I was just thinking, like, I know so many shops that are like, I mean, you've worked at like a number of shops where that stuff happens all the time.
Oh, I've gotten cussed out for leaving before.
I can't imagine any situation where that would happen. Like,
No,
quite,
I don't
quite
care.
honestly, like even if there was like a serious issue or something, it wouldn't be like do you know what I mean? Like a whole like dramatic like a scene or something, you know?
I don't think that's really in anybody's character anyway.
No,
it's
I mean,
not.
everyone's pretty chill. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly believe that if anyone wanted to leave, they would just be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I'd be like, yeah, if it makes you happy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what's up. You'll be missed. We love you. You know?
Come back anytime.
I really do really like everybody that's at the shop right now. Like
Yeah.
I really, really like everyone that's there. So
And I like that, like, everyone's clients all get along. Like, we all share clients. This happens every now and then. We'll have clients, we're like, would it be weird if I, like, got tattooed by, like, you know, like,
So-and-so.
by Faith? And I was like,
Not really.
no.
yeah. Dude, I get that question all the time too. Like,
Why?
okay.
You know?
Well,
Yeah.
so I have
John asked me that.
we have a
actually,
funny
didn't
story
you?
about that. She asked you. Do you remember this? Because
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So Mitch was gonna do this dinosaur that's on my arm, and it's covered up. Sorry, it's cold in here. But Faith, I was doing a reel for Faith. She was doing this Velociraptor tattoo, and I was like, I love that. That looks sweet. Why don't I just get Faith to do it? Because Mitch was booked out. He's like, it's gonna be a minute, and I was like, it's okay. I'll see if Faith can hook it up. So asked Faith, and she was like, are you sure Mitch is okay with it? And I was like, I'm pretty sure Mitch could care. Like, he does not care. And she texted Mitch aside from me, and she was like, hey, man, is it cool? And Mitch texted me, and he was like, I guess Faith's doing this dinosaur. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, cool.
Well, which for the record, I appreciate that.
Of course.
like,
Yeah.
that's a
It
very
was
nice
it was
gesture.
right when she got here.
I wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't like,
Yeah.
listen, weirdo. You know, like, no. Like,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
really
yeah.
nice of her to do that. Which I hope we get her on here because she was actually supposed to be here tonight, and she couldn't make it. But yeah, like, yeah, she was like, "Do you care if I do this on John?" And I was like, "No." Like,
now that would
no,
not even
no.
be a question.
Not even kind of. Yeah.
From a client perspective, is that usually the general consensus?
Depends
Because
on the
like
shop, yeah.
me,
Oh.
shout out to the Tennessee Twins. We've talked about this like extensively about
Okay.
this because they've been to Vatic, they've been to JP, they've been to
Russell.
Russell. Like they've made their rounds in the anime community, and then you have me, who after visiting JP and then coming here to you, I was like, I'm never going nowhere else ever again. I'm here.
Which we're, for the record, we're friends with JP. So.
Yes, yeah. JP gave me my first anime tattoo. It's my Luffy on the inside of my arm. I love it. But I often think about that too because I'm like, I obviously have a very strong loyalty to you, Chris, and like, and that comes from the shop. It comes from you individually. It comes with the way that you've interacted with me, my friend. I mean, the whole reason I'm here now is because you put such a strong impression on the Tennessee Twins, Taylor and Tyler, that they were like, you need to go see him. The tattoos that you're talking about, we have absolutely no doubt that he can knock it out of the park for you. You should go. And then I got down here for this tattoo, and you're like, do you want to come back and meet all these guys that you've never met before on the internet? And I'm like, get me in there right now. Get me in there. And then we came and met. We had that awesome time in November of last year, and everything's just kind of snowballed from that.
Yeah, you're supposed to come out just to come hang out with us at the video game tattoo convention, but you got sick.
Yeah, believe me, I was at home watching everybody's reels and stories and pictures on Instagram, and I'm like, I feel so bad.
But for the record, like, I mean, you've been tattooed by both of my apprentices. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? And like, you got the Michael's
Second
tattoo.
believe me,
I know
I
you
tried to slip in there as number
I know,
one.
I know. But you know, like, I wouldn't care if you got tattooed by anyone else. And you know that.
Yeah.
But no, like, I enjoy building like really strong connections, and like you can always tell when that happens because like I have people email me and they're like, hey, I really want to get tattooed by, and they'll like slip it in. They're like, I'm friends with RJ. You know what I mean? And they like, you know what I mean? And so it's like,
you just met one of my buddies. Just came down here. You did
yeah.
the Kenpachi on him.
I did. That was sick. Did you see it?
Oh, of course, dude.
Yeah.
He came to the gym the next day and he had friggin' elephant trunk fur on. Dude, he swelled up.
I know, dude.
So Garrett's arm, like when you did my Sun Eater, I swelled up pretty bad, and I was just like, I think it's just a sensitive area. Jesus Christ,
his elbow was huge.
He blew up. I was like, mine did kind of that. But he also left the gauze on, and I was like, you might want to take that off when you sleep,
Dude. I want to say this really
You gotta
quick.
let that fluid flow.
Yeah.
RJ is so funny to me because like you are such a muscular like big dude. Like I remember like Chris was like stenciling RJ's arm. I was like, dude, that's like bigger than my thigh, bro. Like that's like and like a normal size tattoo. It's like
The Gabi Maru I just got, I think it was you. We got it all printed off, and then you were able to wrap it all the way around your forearm.
Oh
Yeah, dude.
I don't know if that was me or not. Yeah, but I mean, bro, all of your tattoos, they look great. It's just so funny because like anybody that goes to the gym, it's like super like big. Like like
It's so great.
it's like
You know what's funny? I think the day I did the Gabi Maru, that was the day that I helped everyone stencil their tattoos.
you did.
Do you remember that? Because like everyone was having trouble stenciling, and normally I just let my apprentices do it. But no one for some reason that day could stencil, so I like went around and had to do everyone's.
You got mine in one shot.
Oh, I did Mitch's in one shot. He was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh yeah, because you were doing Logan, and you're
Yeah,
like
it was
you're
like
like his
around.
shoulder shapely, and
Yeah. That was actually exactly why I was tattooing a friend of. He was on the Tennessee Twins, like one of their friends, and he's sort of a muscular dude. He's not nearly as big as RJ. No offense, Logan. He's
cut that, edit that out,
He's not as big as RJ though, but he had kind of muscular shoulders, so I was trying to put the stencil on the outside of his upper arm, and because it's a sheet of paper, it was like, you know what I mean? It's like anywhere I tried to get it was like folding in a weird place, and I was just like, what the? I tried doing the stencil like 3 times. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna get Chris. And Chris, and he just put it on there. So.
I got you, dude.
We know all too well about Lump. Trying to get Genya on here on my bicep and in my arm was a pain.
Oh yeah, it really was.
Well, I think we're kind of getting to the end of our time limit. We didn't even do the TikToks, dude.
It's fine.
I thought about that like 30 minutes ago.
We
and I
can't
was
do
I
like,
don't know
oh,
how long do you guys
dang.
usually record.
Let's get at least like like 1 or 2.
This is what happens when you
I
have
don't
good
know.
conversation.
Do you have a favorite?
The script
Oh.
goes out.
I
Is
don't
there
have a favorite.
is there any one or a couple or something that really sticks out to
While
you?
John's thinking about that though, like I do really appreciate like how much RJ has done. Do you know what I mean? Like RJ has like traveled here constantly. He was here like 2 weeks ago.
2.5 weeks ago.
And like we do have clients who like we get like referrals from RJ all the time. And last time he was here, it was you, the Tennessee Twins, and Logan. Like we all like went out to dinner together.
It was
and
awesome.
Everything.
We're gonna make him dinner tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna make RJ dinner
Oh,
tomorrow.
I'm so excited.
And you know, like he wants to bring like his lady down here and everything. So I don't know. We just, I have this realization a lot, like with Mitch or with Ashley, where like, because they both know like where we were prior, and it's like, dude, everything good in my life started 2 years ago. You know, from just like deciding I'm fucking done with working for someone else and letting people just like take control of you. So like, even if you think you're happy where you're at in a tattoo shop, maybe just think about like, what things have you wanted to do that you haven't been able to do, and then just think about how good your life is if you just didn't have to fucking deal with someone telling you no.
Yeah.
There's always room for
The
improvement.
possibilities are endless. You could be having dinner with RJ.
I love
you know,
dinner.
Like you could, you know, just decide, hey, I only want to tattoo Hello Kitty for the rest of your life. And if that makes you stoked, you know, if someone's trying to tell you can't do that, fuck them.
There's people
Like,
out
you
there
can do
for
it.
everything.
You can
on eyelids.
you can live your life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ashley one day had a conversation with me. She's like, this sounds stupid, but I'm passionate about eyebrows. I was like, you can do that for a living, bro. And I can facilitate that.
We've
know?
got a
It
spot.
was something like that. Yeah.
And we're here. We're doing it. It's sick. But
really what happened was I was talking about how much I hated the hospitals I was doing clinicals at. And then I said, Chris, just teach me how to do small little tattoos and just give me a little gumball machine up at the front and I'll just run them all day. he was just like, why don't you just do eyebrows? And I
well,
was
prior
like,
to that, you
"Oh,
were saying
dang."
that like you really enjoyed like
yeah,
eyebrows and stuff.
No, he was like, what's something that you really like doing? And I said, I don't know. I really like doing my fucking eyebrows. I don't know. And he was
That's a
like,
perfect.
and he was
segue.
like,
It is.
I know. And he was like, why don't you just do that? And
Yeah.
I was like,
She's like, what do
You can do
mean?
everyone's
like-
eyebrows,
I
not
was
just
like-
your own.
I was like, what do you mean?
The ones you did the other day looked really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, you did a great job on this.
But I was
Thank
like,
you.
Ashley, you have medical training. You know what
Yeah.
cross contamination is. You already have your bloodborne. Your boyfriend owns a tattoo shop,
Yeah.
and you like eyebrows. Just
Like
connect.
3/4 of the way
just,
there, dog.
just
I know.
connect the
I was
fucking
like,
dots.
I was like, dang, I'm really kind of.
You're at the finish line at that point.
Yeah,
You just
that-
gotta
Yeah,
step
just
across
ask
it.
the question. You know what I mean? It's like
That's great.
It makes everything better. It's like I don't know, like you can,
Now I got 2 jobs.
yeah, just try to make yourself as happy as possible. Like you never know how your life can benefit from just like take a risk on yourself.
Yep.
What's the move, John?
All right.
John looks
Just
like he's
for
ready to
me,
go to bed.
John, give me the worst
Dude.
one just for me.
My son was crazy today.
He said it's
Indy?
sleepy time.
Oh, when I saw Andy the other day,
Yeah.
he really hurt my heart. He really didn't want to give me a fist bump.
He was sad, dude. He was tired.
I went like this. He said,
It's because you could tell you're Instagram 666 and
Nah, normally they don't,
He
even,
registered
He knew
with
I was
that.
down.
they don't even let
Wow.
Ashley in the house.
Do what?
It's like you can't cross like a holy
The
threshold.
you can't cross the
Rob,
threshold.
You have to
surprised.
ask permission to enter
I'm
the home.
surprised
Yeah,
that
she's
no,
like,
Invite
okay.
me in.
I told this to John
When
one
have you
time
ever?
that it was at Josh's Christmas party last year, and I took a picture with Mandy, and Mandy posted it on her story and like tagged me in it on her story, and I was like, bro, I felt so bad. I was like, poor Mandy had to put my Instagram handle on her.
I had that
story.
moment when my
I
mom
said,
asked me
I
what
felt
you
so
looked like.
bad.
That's so funny.
Do what?
I said I had that moment whenever we first started dating, and my mom was like, "What's she look like?" And I was like, "This is her Instagram," and my mom was like, "Oh shit." And now my mom loves her, so it's fine.
Like, just for clarification, I'm not a Satanist by any means or anything.
It's just an
like
old
that.
edgy.
Yeah, I literally was just an edgy teenager, and it's like been my personality since.
It's
I
just the
guess.
joke that's gone on
But
for
it-
too long.
Yeah, and
Can't
at
be
this
ended
point,
now.
I just have to accept it because like it's like all my social media
Yeah.
stuff is that.
So now
tied
she
into
now
there.
she has this 666 tattoo
Yeah,
massive
it is
across
on
her
my
stomach.
And,
It's
you know,
hard, dude.
You posted those. It does
It's
look
hard
sick.
as
Yeah,
fuck,
and
dude.
I do have a backup plan for if I turn my life around again. You know?
You turn it into 3/8.
Yeah, I have 666, but I can just add a slash in there on each one and turn them
Bro.
into 8s, which is like
I'm a
the
firm
angel
believer in
number
backup
for
plans, so this is
wisdom.
great.
I don't
got a
have
backup
one.
plan,
I don't have
guys.
one. According to y'all, I have a face tattoo.
Anyway, here's a dude making himself look like a Ninja Turtle.
Oh
I'm gonna turn that off because it's gonna get
Jesus.
flagged.
Copyright.
At first, I didn't know if it was real, but I think it is.
no! Oh, it is. It
He's
looks
not
like-
flinching at all.
He's definitely on drugs.
100%.
Holy Christ.
Why do you go with Raphael, man?
I like that. That's your commentary, honestly.
Why does he have the
Oh.
huge treasure of
All
Jefferson?
right, that's
Oh,
pretty
surprise!
You know what?
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty cool. I
That's
like
so
that
hard,
one.
dude. I love that.
How about that, though?
That's
a hammer?
It's a hammer, man.
That's bad. For the record, I need more proof that turtle guy is real. I actually don't really think it's real.
I think it is.
You don't think it's real?
I have no. Bro,
I'm on the fence.
I'm just really confused.
Do you know why?
it's pretty solid. Is that
It's
why?
in there.
The saturation was too high.
I didn't see any blood.
Yeah. That's
It looks like paint.
That's sort of where I was at too.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Look at the gloves.
I'm just confused.
You know what?
There's
You-
no blood. It
I-
looks like
I
oil
think-
paint.
I think you're right.
I think it's a
just-
goof.
Yeah, it
Here,
has
play
to
it.
be a goof.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Honestly, look at that.
The needle's not moving.
I was gonna say his face isn't vibrating like you would think it
It's
would
fake.
be.
It's super fake. It's just a goof.
He's just tapping on himself.
Yeah. He has paint in the tube, and he's just etching it on there.
That makes me feel so much better.
Yeah, that's not real.
honestly.
It's also like, I don't know, his lips and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
feel like it wouldn't really look like
Yeah,
that.
man, you gotta have a keen eye.
There are a few that I need Michael here for.
I'm a professional.
I know what I'm talking about.
I can spot a
I'm
fake
gonna
tat.
look up a picture of him when Chris and I are laying in
So
bed.
on record,
be
this
like,
is not
look,
how
it's
you
real.
would go about turning yourself into a Ninja Turtle.
Dude, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle so bad.
Is that,
You
why
know
you,
what?
is that why you eat pizza?
Nothing's
the way you
stopping you from pivoting in your
I
life
ate
right
pizza
now.
'cause it's lit. You're right. You know what? I wouldn't have that freedom if I still worked.
do? Hey, man, I do color tats.
All right.
Which Ninja Turtle do you want to be?
Oh man, actually, funny enough, Raphael used to be my favorite. It's probably Leonardo though, man.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
I can make you Shredder.
That'd be kind of
You
cool.
be the rat, dude.
that's Splinter.
Dude, I'd
Shredder
never
is the-
watch a Ninja Turtle.
Oh man, that kills me.
I'm more of a Beast Wars kind of fellow.
Beast Wars was cool.
The new one's so good.
I have
John's like,
I have
"Y'all
not
gotta
seen
see
it.
Wait, is there a new?
The animated one?
Yeah,
Is
Wait, what?
So good.
there's a new Beast Wars.
There's an animated
Ninja
one?
Turtles.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah,
Oh.
the movie.
Yeah, I don't care
I was
about
not
that.
super thrilled about the art style, but I heard it was pretty good.
Oh, it's so good.
That's what you said too. You didn't really
yeah, I
like.
didn't like the art style.
Oh, I
either.
loved it.
It looked kind of chintzy.
Kind of what?
Chintzy,
I don't know what that
What's that mean?
means.
like cheap, I guess. In
Never
term,
heard that word.
Yeah.
No. Mitch, I didn't know how to spell khakis. At one point.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
The
that,
hickeys.
that's the
What-
greatest.
what
word.
are kahikis?
So,
Yeah.
all right, we'll end on this because I think it's personally probably it's a
Is
very good
chintzy
goof
a
on
northern
myself.
Thing?
What?
I don't think
A what?
you're
A
not from the
northern
north,
thing?
are you?
I don't. Yeah.
Is chintzy a north?
Mitch is loosely from the north.
Yeah, kind of. No, I think that's like a common thing.
Just
John, have you
for
heard
the
that?
for the record,
Mm-hmm.
it just looked like the art style that they chose was to, I guess, cut back on budget and animating certain portions of it.
Mm.
That's when I saw some of the commercials, I was like, it looks floaty. It doesn't look complete. Everything looks like it tapers off, so that they don't have to take the time, energy, effort, money to
I see.
fully
Yeah.
animate
Okay,
this.
I gotcha.
That's how I saw it.
When you
Okay.
watch it, it works.
Does it really?
Yeah, I
Okay.
thought so.
So we were playing Cards Against Humanity a very long time ago, and our rule for I don't know if it's an actual rule, but the way that we played it was if you didn't know what a card was, you would just have to say it out loud and say what you thought it was, and then you could discard it, right? Like I remember someone didn't know who like Rush Limbaugh was, and they're like, "Who is this?" You know. And I remember pulling this card and going, "The fuck are kahikis?" and everyone's like, "Khakis?" And it clicked in my brain that I think I was like 20, 21. I had never in my life seen the word khakis written.
Yeah,
Ever.
And it's an insane looking word.
yeah, that's fair.
When you pronounce it and when you look at it, yeah, there's a.
It looks
there's a
like
stark
kahikis.
difference. Yeah.
Hickeys. I think it only looks like that to you.
was
I'm gonna
close
be
enough.
honest.
Hey man,
Well, all right. That is a good note to end it on. But RJ,
That's a
thanks,
wrap.
Thanks for hanging out and talking.
Absolutely. There's one thing I think all of you guys know here as I like to talk. So
Yeah,
this is
man.
this is a perfect setting
Can I
for
ask
me.
That's true.
a question
Yeah.
to the podcast viewers? I would like an old Greg tattoo. Chris says it can't be big.
I'm old Greg.
okay. She was wanting like a full like rib piece old Greg, and I was like, no.
She asked
would
me
be
if I would do
beautiful.
it, and
It'd
I
be
was like,
beautiful,
I was
right?
like, I would do it, but Chris would kill me.
No. And I said I don't care if she gets it. I think it's sick. All right, like
Okay, basically
You can say you
my
don't like
question
that, though.
is,
That's-
I
no,
just-
I'm fine. No, here I'm fine with it. I like. She's very into old Greg. Like it's
I would
totally
not
fine.
want my girlfriend to have a massive old Greg piece on her, bro. Like,
I don't know. I don't care.
Funny
I
enough,
just.
my dad loves old Greg too.
I know.
Every once in
I
a while,
love
I'll
old
just
Greg,
hear him say,
too.
"Old Greg's got a mangina."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What are you doing, old man?"
It's very funny. But like,
No, so like I know
I
Ashley
have
really
all the
well.
things in my cart, on my Amazon cart, to like have an
Yeah.
old Greg costume, and I've been trying to get Chris to commit to being Crack Fox with me.
I'm not against it. I just feel like it's a lot of work and short notice.
It is. It is.
The thing about it, I could probably just be the guy that he hooks.
Oh, you want to be Howard Moon?
Yeah, I could
She
probably
knows
do
all
that.
the character lore.
But
Come to Papa Moon.
oh, dude, we've been on a road trip before, and she just has played the whole
All right,
thing.
we're getting down.
No,
to
the whole-
crazy
no,
route.
real quick.
I
real
just
quick.
need inspo for what style am I doing the old Greg place in, and
think-
where and how big. I just want to.
Okay, the only issue I have with it is I know the tattoos you want and the placement you want them. I just
got
don't
a
know
point.
where it should go.
Yeah.
I'm down with you getting it. I think it would be sick.
What about my feet?
You should have Rogers do it in hyper realism.
Oh. I don't want to be there for.
What about
$30.
the old Greg like patch or sticker, where they kind of look like sewn in patches?
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Is it?
Yeah,
I'm not sitting for that.
that's a
I won't open that can of worms. I'll just take your word for
It's
it.
a nightmare.
All right,
All right,
guys,
at any rate, I guess actually will figure out her.
Thank you guys
Yeah.
for
Sending
broad
ideas.
across the scope. I love you guys. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate you guys having me here and all that you've done on all my trips down here for me and my friends and anybody that I send down here. You guys are very lovely people. Every one of you guys at the shop,
Oh, and
including you.
What's your @ and what's your business again?
Apex Communications Network. And it's Apex Communication Network on all of our social media, and my personal one is Doc Holiday 92.
Yep.
Yay.
Thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful.
What do we say?
wonderful
Get
week.
some sleep, stay hydrated.
Yeah,
That thing.
that's
Right?
pretty much
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Good enough. Have a good one.